Hey, have you ever heard a message or something that just made you just simply want to just take a walk and maybe just think about what it is that you heard? Well, last week was just one of those messages that just made me want to get alone and just talk to God and think about some things that I heard. You know, one of the great things that I heard about our church that we can all be proud of is how that God has blessed us with some great growth. When you think about it, over 1,400 people attend our church on a Sunday morning. And that's something that we should just be giving God a lot of glory and a lot of praise for. But the other part of Pastor's message last week was simply that there's only 500 people that are actually involved in any kind of ministry inside of this church. And when you do the math on that real quick, that means that 35% of the people are involved in active ministry. That means that only 35% of the people actually attend a life group or involved in any kind of ministry. And so whenever you begin to think about that, that means that 65 out of 100 people that attend this church, this great church, are not involved in anything other than a Sunday morning service. I don't know about you, but it really makes me to be one more involved in what God is doing inside of this church, inside of our hearts and for our families. There's probably not a one of us out here that can't give a testimony, including myself, of what God's done in my family, what He's done in my life, where He's brought me from to where I'm at today. And it's something that we ought to be giving God praise for. And then I just began to think about the life groups that this church has to offer, and how that there's over 45 life groups that meet right now. And then Pastor's challenge for all of us was simply that this coming year he would like to see, as well as myself, 20 new life groups start and be active in here. That means that some of you, and myself included, would simply have to stand up and say, hey, I will open up my house, I'll open up my doors, and I'll be part of a ministry. I'll give of my time, I'll give of my effort. I'll really get involved in what God is trying to do in this church. And then not only that, he began to say that this year, this 2010, that he would like to see 200 new people involved in these ministries. That seems like it's almost an impossible goal, but yet the Bible tells us with God, all things are possible. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to trust God this year. I'm just going to believe God that what God said and what the vision that He laid on our pastor's heart, that can be accomplished this year in 2010. And one way that can be accomplished is that if all of us that are calling this church our home would actively get involved in it. Actively get involved. That means that as soon as a 9 o'clock service is over, instead of just walking out the door sometimes like we normally do, if we would just go and say, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try a life group out on Sunday morning. Maybe I'm going to go to the connection booth, and maybe I'll just sign up for something, and maybe I'll make a 6-month commitment that is for me and my house and my family. We'll serve God and we'll get actively involved in this. And that means a lot of the people that were once involved in this church, that we no longer just come to church and we just leave the way that we've often lived. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot of us that have kids, and one thing that our kids do is they look to us for guidance and for leadership. And the words that we say often don't match our attitudes, and they don't match our actions, simply for the fact that when our children see us walk out of church on a Sunday morning, make no mistake, they know that there's something else going on that they've missed. And I believe that if we model this in front of our children, that next generation that comes up will be very, very, very interested in the things of God. I'm asking you as your associate pastor, and I'm asking you as somebody who loves you and cares for you, that you will take the time this year with you and your family and get involved in what God has to offer you. Because when you begin to think about it, there is a person who became so involved in your heart and in your life that he gave everything for you so that you could be involved in his work. Make this the year that you get involved in with what God wants from you.